Okay. Let's give this a sound check. Says we're live, so let's check and see with our sound check. Yeah, and we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports, and we have with us a special guest, our Eastern European correspondent, Eugene. Eugene, thank you for joining us. How are you doing, Eugene?
Great. Thank you for inviting me.
Eugene, for those people who don't know who you are, I know you've done a few shows with me before, but this is the first time we're doing it live. Let people know just a little bit about you, where you're from, and kind of like what you do in boxing.
Well, I'm from Ukraine, and being from there, of course, I speak both Russian and Ukrainian. And there was a lot of information coming in, like on social media and on newspapers, the internet. The info that was in our, let's say, language sphere, but was never breaching to those fans who wanted to follow Eastern European boxers. And it kind of created a info vacuum for people. So I decided to somehow reach out to people. And then I seen Bayloric television and one of yours interview with James Ali Bashir, because he was a trainer of Alexander Usyk at that moment. So at some point I started like correcting in the YouTube comments and writing to Twitter account, like pitching in some information that was missed during the talks and whatsoever. And I got invited to share the information that is not available in like Western media, English-speaking media.
Thank you so much for that. People who probably will tune in later and want to know who you are and what you do. Now they certainly know who you are and what you do. And thank you so much for joining us previously and talking to us about Eastern European boxing, of course, world boxing as well. There was a bit of a quiet phase. We didn't know what Alexander Usyk was going to be doing, but now we have the World Series that's come back. We're going to keep that on hold at the moment, because the most pressing story in world boxing at the moment is the story about Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is Wilder is still trying to get out for whatever reason. Maybe he does believe that he cannot fight Stavern for the second time. Maybe he does, but he just doesn't want to do it. It's not beneficial to his career. And like he will try to use any trick he can to get out of this situation. And we know, sadly, that WBC allows their boxers to avoid mandatories for years. So I would say that probably everything will be all right and Stavern will get his fight, but there is a little bit, like just a tiny part of me that thinks this can go wrong.
Okay. To get you up to speed, I know that you've been watching all the Stavern interviews, and those people who were watching the boxingscene.com article, which was yesterday, that came out and said that Bermane Stavern had hired James Prince to tackle this particular situation. Well, I was incorrect, because James Prince had been his manager since July the 10th, or before July the 10th. So James was on board before this point in time. James was on board before even Al Heyman knew James was on board. In fact, for what I understand, even Don King didn't know James was on board. But when he came on board, Don King was quite happy about it. So Al Heyman clearly isn't happy about the fact that James Prince is involved. But now that James Prince is involved, he's considered a man that gets things done. And let's remember, he's also now the manager of Andre Ward and Bryant Jennings.
Yeah. By the way, what's with Bryant Jennings?
He just signed a deal with. I think he signed a deal with. I think he may have signed a deal with Top Rank, but what's his name? James Prince is his manager now.
Oh,
I
I
think he
see.
might be waiting to get out of contract. So now he's with James Prince.
Well, as Stivern said, he gets the shit done, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he gets the shit done. So what we can confirm is that we will have Stavern live tonight at 9 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Las Vegas time, and hopefully we'll have James Prince with him as well, so we can get to the bottom of things.
Oh, that's cool. Let me
So
set a
that'd be quite
reminder.
cool. Pardon?
What? Let me set a reminder or something.
Yeah, it's a reminder, and it's on the channel, so it's all there. So James Prince and Stavern will be talking tonight, and that'll be helpful. What do you make of the whole Wilder, Stavern, Dillian White, uh, Joseph Parker, any other heavyweight in the world?
Well, the thing is, as I see it, Wilder is pursuing his own goals, but he wants to stay relevant. At the same time, he doesn't want to face mandatories, which is putting him in a funny situation. Uh, if somehow he makes the fight with Ortiz or with any other heavyweight but Stavern, I think it's gonna be his fifth uh, voluntary defense or sixth or something,
Yeah.
which is kind of telling you that he doesn't want to play by the rules and somehow wants to demand being relevant. At the same time, he's not doing what everyone does to stick up with the plan.
Mm-hmm. Stavern says he will not take step aside money, so that's another thing as well.
Well, I think. Well, I don't know how it works actually, because if he doesn't take the step aside money, then there is no way out of it, as
There
I
is.
see it. Because the situation, for example, with another boxer, Adonis Stevenson, he's given the step aside money to Alvarez, and he has been doing it for I think 3 fights or something, because Alvarez has been his mandatory for quite some time now.
Okay.
But Alvarez is accepting them. I don't know, maybe he thinks that he can somehow milk Adonis like that.
Well, every
But
time he's milking him, Adonis is getting older and older. So he might
well,
think, well, when my mandatory comes around to actually fight, when I get a chance to fight, Stevens will be so old that I'll be able to knock him out. Maybe.
maybe. Oh, maybe Stevenson, just when it actually comes to him defending the title, will drop it and say, well, I'm retiring. And there you have it.
There you go. So that could happen. Okay, so let's talk about European boxing. First of all, James Adebishir's heavyweight. Is Sinchenko, right?
Sirenko.
Serenko, that's it. Serenko, that's the word. I think he's had his fourth fight now or fifth fight.
Did he? I think he had only 3.
I think he's had 4 fights. Is it? Will
He
you
had
tell me?
3 in the South Africa, 3 fights, and then he was supposed to move to the US and have some more fights in the middle of August.
Yes, yes. So how do you see his development so far?
He's doing great, but at the same time, he's facing opposition that is being blown in like 20 seconds in every fight. So he doesn't get like some food for thoughts. When somebody is fighting back and makes him readjust, to go at least 3 rounds, to have someone who doesn't fall at the first hook or something. I just want to
Yes,
see him facing,
challenged a bit.
yeah.
Well, I think Bashir was saying that he was going to fast track Serenko, so that's a good sign.
I think it is, but fast track what? For example, he can fast track him to have 20 fights against nobodies. I don't think it's gonna happen. He's gonna fast track him in the sort of with like growing opposition.
Yes,
And by the end of the second year, when he has about 20 fights, I mean, of the second year of his pro career,
yes,
I want to see him against somebody like Derrick Rossi,
yes,
somebody who has been around,
yeah,
and then we can judge whether he's ready to move up and face the champions.
right. Okay. Who else have we got? Alexander Usyk has now signed to be part of the Super 8 tournament. That's a dangerous tournament, don't you think?
It is, but the price is 3 belts.
Yeah.
Lebedev didn't sign though, which kind of tells you something.
Well,
And their justification, wait a second for that. I was reading his interview and he was justifying it with saying, well, I don't know how it's going to be organized. We don't have the solid dates when we're going to fight. And I don't like the fact that the unseeded, so they have 4 seeded boxers, right? The champions.
yeah.
And unseeded, which is chosen either from number 1 in rankings or just some veterans.
Okay.
So he says, I don't like the fact that I'm going to be paid the same amount of money as my opponent. That's his justification of not entering this tournament.
Well, I think his justification of not entering the tournament is because there's a real possibility he could get beat.
Yeah, I think with Troyanovsky losing to Indongo, Lebedev is the only one who has a belt in Rabinsky's promotion company.
Okay.
He's the only one drop his title. Indongo lost his title, so they have only one horse in the stable right now.
Okay. Okay. The best cruiserweight in the world, Tony Bellew, is not in the tournament. Well, that's according to him, by the way. According to him, let's remember.
Of course.
What are your thoughts on that?
The first thing is actually, it is kind of funny that he's pursuing his heavyweight dream, because somehow the matrix broke and he did beat David Haye, which is technically a cruiserweight himself. He just, doesn't bother of sticking into a limit, but he's not one of those guys as Tyson Fury or Wilder or
Not a big guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
The guys we used to call heavyweights.
Right.
So he actually, I see him as he believed in himself so much, then somehow he makes through all those challenges. But now he's negotiating with Ward to fight him.
So it's amazing he'll fight Ward,
Yeah.
coming up from light heavy to cruiserweight, but yet he won't take part in the cruiserweight tournament, which has got the best in the world fighting, and he's WBC champion. Well, he was WBC champion.
Think of it like this. He got popped by Makabu, and he was able to get up. But imagine now he got popped by somebody like Kudryashov or Gassiev. Well, I don't know. Is he gonna be holding a judge or something? I don't know. Because it's one thing to get hit by somebody who is like, well, let's call B+ fighter, because Makabu has some skill in him. He's not some, guy in an alley. But at the same time, the top guys who are in Super 8 right now, or World Boxing Series, they're the most polished boxers available in cruiserweights.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so tell me the top 8 of the cruiserweight division, the top 8 that are taking part in this Super 8 tournament.
Well, the only question I actually have is, by the way, you were talking about on your stream about how Usyk has changed his style. He doesn't have his footwork anymore.
Yes.
And you were connecting it to James Ali Bashir, which is actually kind of not true.
Okay.
He had his footwork prior to James Ali Bashir.
Okay.
The thing that he does right now, he used to do when he was fighting in America, he's trying to impress American fans too much.
Right.
He wants to be like a brawler, the way he was throwing punches against Hunter.
Yes.
That was, I don't think how necessary that was. He wanted to have that knockout so much that he looked sloppy. Hunter has a good reach, and he was like meeting him with a jab or straight hand.
Yes.
He was hit like with completely not necessary punches, and Usyk was going for it just to get that knockout that he didn't even get. So it was just a matter of impressing Americans. That's all there is. Because if he boxes the same way he does, like a technician, doesn't put himself in too much of a danger, then many people will be just bored, and he wants to become sort of a star.
But by doing that, does that not put him in danger against the biggest punchers in the cruiserweight division? Where I would say that Usyk isn't one of the biggest punchers in the cruiserweight division. Rather, he's a guy that'll hit you with a combination of punches and knock you out, whereas guys like Gassiev can knock you out with one shot.
But he's not going to do it against Gassiev. The way I see it, there is no way he will allow to be exposed against someone that dangerous.
He can't afford to, can he?
Well, I think he can take a few punches, but he will not do that because some people say that, oh, he can take it up his chin and go forward and so on. He has a granite chin. He will never test that. And one of the guys who was sparring with him, Alexander Gvozdik.
Yes.
Remember him?
Yes.
He was saying that whenever they spar, he will never allow a good shot land on him.
Okay.
Just never. He will do that only if there is something to win. And I don't see how trading punches with somebody like Gassiev is something to win. That's technically jeopardize all your chances.
Yeah, I can understand that. So do you think, I was saying in terms of the game plan and in terms of having an experienced trainer in your corner moving forward in the Super 8, that it's a huge loss to Usyk. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are next. So Ross Anbard, he's a trainer right now. Yeah. The game plan for that fight with Hunter and like all the breakdown of the fighter was done by Anatoly Lomachenko.
Right.
And only Anatoly Lomachenko knows how to execute that plan. Only he can give directions and see how Hunter changes. If he's not in his corner, it's kind of pointless to have that game plan, because the way I saw it, Usyk went in and was just, he was, I think he was adjusting as he went, but he wasn't listening to his trainer. He was just relying on his experience.
It looked as if Lomachenko, father Lomachenko, wasn't impressed, and Lomachenko Jr. wasn't impressed either by what they were watching by Usyk. When they were just cutting back to them in the dressing room, they didn't look impressed.
No, they didn't. And actually, the senior Anatoly Lomachenko, he said when he talked to Usyk, he asked him, "Doesn't he have a body? Why do you go headhunting?" So he was really irritated that Usyk was trying to knock out Hunter and not wearing him down. Knocking air out of his chest and whatever.
Yes.
So he was kind of displeased with that execution of the plan.
Okay. So who else do we need to look at for in the Super 8?
Briedis.
Yes. A lot of talk about him. He was, I believe that he was Tony Bellew's mandatory.
Yeah, he was. And to be honest, not to crap on Bellew, but I think he was exactly the reason why Bellew dropped the belt. Because the guy not only can punch, but he can take a punch, and he was boxing in the heavyweights.
Yes, look what I think. Wasn't he the guy that knocked out Manuel Shah real badly?
Yeah, that was in Grozny in Russia.
Yes.
And that was actually one of the upsets of the night, because what happens in Grozny in Chechnya?
Yes.
So they have those staged fights where the locals get really like pleased with the fighters that they choose.
Okay.
So, for example, they have some local fights like fighters like Chagaev,
Yes.
and he would fight somebody like Brown,
Yes.
Lucas Brown. If you watch that fight in the round 6, the fight went 19 seconds. The round went 19 seconds longer than 3 minutes because Brown was rocked. Right, he was hurt. So they prolonged the round, hoping that Chagaev will knock him out. It didn't happen. So in the next round, when Brown got himself together and started applying pressure on Chigaev, they shortened the round for 20 seconds. You can go online and see for yourself. Those videos are available. Like anyone who wants to see it, it's just such a stupid situation. I can't even wrap my head around it. And it was technically one of the reasons why I was defending Lucas Brown against those drug allegations. But when he's got caught with PEDs the second time, I just, hands down, I can't do anything anymore.
Okay, if you're going to talk about PEDs, there's another man we've got to talk about PEDs, and he's making his comeback. Mr. Povetkin.
Oh, yeah.
He's like a bad girlfriend that won't go away. An ex-girlfriend that won't go away.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he was fighting Rudenko,
Yes.
and he didn't look that dangerous. And Rudenko is not like super crafty guy. He's just robust, decent heavyweight. He's kind of a gatekeeper.
Yes.
If you have a prospect, you just throw him in there and see how it goes.
Now, can I stop you there a second? Rudenko arguably beat Lucas Brown, and Huey Fury played with him.
Okay, so
where does that put Rudenko?
Well, I'm saying he's a good fighter. He's definitely someone to not be ashamed to get in the ring with.
Yes.
But at the same time, he's not the top gun of the heavyweight division.
Okay.
So we have, if you want to, analogy, in cruiserweight, we have Kucher, for example.
Yeah.
So, Ukrainian, that's why I'm saying we have.
Okay.
So he's a decent fighter, but I just don't see him ever becoming a champion.
Okay.
So it's kind of those guys, who are really robust, they're skillful, but at the same time, they're not like super dangerous. And the way Povetkin looked against him just says either when he can no longer take PEDs, he's like a flat tire now, or Rudenko got so much better, which I don't know how much better he can get.
Oh, Povetkin's getting old.
Yeah, that's true. He's 37.
He's older than Stavern.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that fact. They're always saying that he's also young, so hungry. All of a sudden.
Well, these are things we need to consider. So, yes, Mr. Povetkin. Oh, Kovalev, Mr. Kovalev. I don't know when the stories are going to end with him. First, he didn't rate US trainers. Then he employed some other trainer. Now he wants John David Jackson. He wants Andre Ward's trainer Virgil Hunter to train him. What's going on with all that, please?
What's going on with him? First of all, I'm just gonna put it like this. Okay. When they were preparing for that fight, there was it was a pissing contest. Kovalev was saying that Ward slaps like a woman. He was never he could never feel his punches. So in their second fight, he gets chinned. He gets wobbled when Ward applies everything with his shoulder. Full punch.
Yes.
And then he tries to hold on him, and then complain about low blows, which is if you look the video, it was Tommy Wicks.
Yes.
The referee, he was saying look, this silver ribbon on your trunks, this is okay. Anything lower, that's not. And that's exactly where Ward was hidden, because he's saying, like, your trunks are a little bit high, so here will be okay. And Kovalev said nothing. So what is it? I don't know.
He said, I didn't feel anything. I wasn't hurt. Explain the
Yeah.
right hand.
I got a little bit dizzy, had a little bit too much oxygen. Forget about it. And now he's complaining about making 175.
I
He's
heard
saying,
he wants to
oh,
move up to heavyweight.
what?
He said he wants to move to heavyweight.
Nah, that's just plain stupid.
Well,
Because,
hold on. Ward said the same thing.
yeah, he said, but is he moving to heavyweight? Because heavyweights right now are not heavyweights in Muhammad Ali's time. They're way larger guys, so it's not that possible. I mean, he can go in there and have a good fight against Parker, I say. Maybe
Fred
like,
Aquendo?
oh, definitely. Well, see, first Aquendo is, I don't know, isn't he 40 when he was going to fight with the Shannon
Briggs?
Briggs? Yeah,
Briggs
they
is
were
coming
saying,
back in October.
oh, Jesus Christ.
And he's fighting for the WBA title, according to Shannon Briggs.
So when he was going to fight Briggs, Fraser Quendolin Briggs, for a regular WBA title,
yes,
somebody calculated that their altogether age will be something like 90 years in that ring, or 92. So it's kind of like, what's going on? You have. I mean, there are different types of heavyweights. There are like natural heavyweights that we consider them, over 6'5", 6'6".
yes.
And there are heavyweights like bloated cruiserweights.
Yes.
Like, for example, when Briedis was fighting at heavyweight, he was fighting at, I think, 215 pounds, and he's something like 6'1", 6'2" feet.
Okay.
So he is not like a tall guy.
Okay.
Two heavyweights, of course.
Yes.
So if Ward wants to try himself in heavyweight, then all the powers to him. But at the same time, the gap between light heavyweight and heavyweight is 25 pounds, which is kind of stupid. So to transition all that weight and then just expect to have the same speed or to have the same maneuverability, you'll get somebody like Machunu, who is really short and bulky just to fit in that weight.
But think this, it's not like it hasn't been done before. The Roy Jones, the Iran Barkley, we could go through them, who've moved from cruiserweight to heavyweight. There's been a lot of guys who've moved. Michael Mora, light heavyweight. Remember him?
I'm not saying it's not possible technically, but I'm
Yes.
saying that when you're talking about somebody like back in the days,
Yes.
heavyweights were different. If we're talking about someone like David Hay, who was a fantastic cruiserweight,
Yeah,
and then moved up, he didn't achieve much in heavyweight, to be honest. Like, he had WBA regular title, I think.
yes.
And that was technically all of it. If Ward makes him his goal to fight just some heavyweights, who are somewhere above the top list, then I think it's doable. But if he wants to capture a title, I just don't see how he's gonna do it.
He mentioned Anthony Joshua. I guess Ward will think, well, okay, if I can get past the Joshua jab and I can get on the inside, then that's where Ward beats all his opponents, on the inside. If I can get on the inside, but it's a big if. I mean, he'll be able to slip past the jab, I think, because he's gonna have faced guys that are far faster than Joshua. The thing is, if Joshua hits him, what happens?
I don't even think about what happens when he hits him. Joshua will just clinch him when he gets too close. That's I just gonna call it Klitschko's cool,
Yes.
because whenever Povetkin, some short guy who was going on the inside, with his hooks and uppercuts, was coming too close, Vlad was leaning on him and applying his weight on top of him, technically
Hmm.
wearing him off.
Hmm.
So the same gonna be with Ward, and Joshua is 250 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he leans on you in the first round and the second one, and then you're gonna ask for a break or something.
Question's been asked here. Would Ward have any chance tiring AJ out or making him gas, or is he just too small?
No, he won't have a chance of gassing him out. All I see is him being really smart, really fast, winning on points. That's all I see, because Klitschko. Oh, by the way, you reminded me. The reason why Klitschko didn't knock him out in Joshua in round 6, was it?
Yes.
Vitaly Klitschko, his brother, said that I regret telling Vlad not to knock him out and where wait for him to gas out, because he's so heavy, he's so bulky. That was him who told him, do not go forward, don't take any unnecessary risks, he will gas out. And the thing is, if it was Vitaly in the ring, this plan would work, because Vitaly is just too robust to be knocked out like in one punch like that.
Yes.
You remember Corey Sanders and
Yes.
Lewis. That plan would work for him, but not for Vladimir, who needed to catch that chance.
How do you think? How do you make out a Klitschko Joshua rematch?
I don't think it's necessary, but at the same time, I kind of see that in the first fight, it was seen that Klitschko can beat him. He just made mistakes that cost him too much.
Yes.
So he still has an ability to land punches that will finish his opponent. He still has the ability to go all the 12 rounds, But his team is too resonating. They don't work as one mechanism. They work as parts clamped all together and somehow going forward. When I don't see Jonathan Banks being his trainer at all, and it just doesn't work. And he said it himself. I can never box the same way as I was boxing when Emmanuel Stewart was in my corner. So like Banks will not replace Stewart, but at the same time he has in his camp the next best thing to Stewart, right? Which is James Ali Bashir, who was around Stewart and he was learning from him, not just being a water boy. He was working with all those guys and he was absorbing knowledge from Stewart. And he will not allow him to run the camp. I mean, I talk about James Ali Bashir, of course.
Yes.
It's a strange situation, but just I understand it like this: Bashir either takes over the camp or will not be involved, and Vladimir just doesn't trust him in doing that, or just doesn't see him as that much of an authority.
Vladimir is too damn ignorant, and I think that you've got Bashir. If Bashir ran his corner, things would be very different. I know inside the camp is very they do the same things all the time. Nothing changes. Doesn't matter what the opponent is. Same training camp every time. And
Well,
these are from people who are inside the camp.
Isn't it the same with Kovalev, for example? The last time he was saying the camp was bad. This time he was saying, no, the camp was wonderful. And this time he got knocked out. It's not about the camp at the end of the day. It's about how you use the knowledge you get in there, how you use your resources. Because guys like Kovalev and Vladimir, they they trust their experience too much, and they just don't realize that you need those second eyes, because the other opponent has two guys in his corner while you are alone.
You know, when Vladimir got hit with an uppercut by Joshua, it
Mhm.
was almost like Karma was speaking, was saying, and there, that's for not having Bashir in your corner. It was like, you know, you get an exclamation mark. The uppercut was like, there you go, that's for not having Bashir in your corner.
Yeah, especially with his head blown up. But the thing is, he won't listen. I just see it like that. He is 41. He has been, the way he's thinking is, well, I'm a doctor in sports. I've been around for 65 or what, 66 fights. Like no one can teach me. And if you remember, Stewart was actually kind of harsh on him when Vladimir was doing, silly things.
With what's his name? What's the guy's name? Eddie Chambers.
Yeah,
And he told Eddie Chambers, he told him, get out there and finish him. And he got out there and he stopped him.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes you just need that guy who will slap you across the face, but uh, because kind of like wake up.
Banks ain't that kind of guy though.
Huh?
Banks is not that kind of guy. He wasn't that guy when Tyson Fury was having the better against Klitschko. You needed somebody like a Banks, or you needed somebody like a Bashir or Stewart to say, "Hey, you're losing this fight. Wake up." He didn't have that. And as Mr. Doctor says, when AJ was knocked down by Klitschko, Stewart would have said, "Go take it to him."
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, uh, Bashir has that in him
There
to
you
tell
go.
him, okay, now it's the time, go and
Yeah,
do it.
exactly.
But you need to understand that he needs to accept Bashir's thinking,
Be
accept
empowered.
him as somebody smarter than him, you know. Because at that moment when he's got blood pumping through his body and all adrenaline, he needs to take that man's word that now is the time and to shut up and listen to him, and not listen to your brother who hasn't been in the ring for 4 years and is completely different beast.
What I still perplexes me, Bashir, Uncle Bashir always tells me of all the talks that him and Klitschko have. Him and Klitschko are so close. Him and Klitschko shares all the most important things, and his fears and his dreams with Bashir, and they have all these wonderful talks. But when it comes down to it, Klitschko leaves Bashir to one side and employs Banks. That's hardly empowering in your camper, is it? It don't make no sense.
I just see it that way because Bashir was leader of the camp for a couple of days or something.
Yeah, a couple of days, quite literally.
Yeah, and the way I see it, Bashir started doing the things he does. He takes over the camp and tells everyone what to do. And Vladimir just doesn't like it. He wants to be the main guy at the end of the day. And that's not beneficial for him because he can't he can you know I think waste his attention on everything. He needs somebody who's gonna take it off his shoulder.
Has he learned his lesson though?
He didn't. I'm pretty sure if they have a rematch, he's not gonna do anything different. It's just a tragedy that he can't trust another guy after Stewart. But who is to blame for it but him?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to more European boxing news. Talk to us about the Matrix Lomachenko and his the breakdown to the Salido fights and the Rigondeaux fights and all the rest of that. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so let's start with Salido and why the fight fell through. So Salido was offered decent money and he agreed to everything, and then he got injured in the training camp.
Okay.
They didn't want to lose the date. Let me check which arena they rented. They have Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles. So They didn't want to lose the date, so they, as a last-minute decision, they invited Miguel Mariaga, which is, well, let's be honest, not on the level of opposition to Lomachenko. But I heard Bo from Truth and Facts About Boxing.
Yes.
He was saying because Top Rank signed a contract with the ESPN, they want to have their fighters to look impressive, right? So all their fights right now will be lowered in opposition just to make them look like fantastic, like it's a beast.
I see. The whole fanboy thing they're trying to sell the whole
Yeah,
fanboy thing.
yeah. You know those short videos of highlights when all the guys fall down to the canvas and nothing before happens. For example, Gvozdyk, he was supposed to fight Joe Smith Jr.
Okay.
and the WBC issued the eliminator for a second mandatory for Adonis Stevenson. Gvozdyk was supposed to fight Joe Smith Jr., but in a week, I think Joe Smith and Barrera announced their fight. So Sullivan Barrera won that fight, and now he has the WBC silver title, I think, or
Right.
international. I think in
Yep.
WBC international. So technically, Gvozdyk still needs him still needs that eliminator. But
Okay.
now they're talking about Kovalev fighting Barrera, and that kind of puts that tricky situation. So Gvozdyk is getting pushed out of his shot for another year, I say.
Well, Kovalev, if I were him, I would swerve a Barrera fight. He doesn't want to be fighting a Barrera. Another guy who can box, who can move, who can punch a bit. No, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want. He
And gets
doesn't
up
want.
after being knocked down.
He doesn't want that.
Yeah.
He doesn't want that.
So Gvozdyk now fights Craig Baker. This guy's been out of the ring for over a year now.
Okay.
So again, Top Rank is making it just so Gvozdyk looks good in their show.
Okay.
It's going to be on in Don't Go Terence Crawford undercard, by the way.
Okay. Okay. Something to look forward to, I think. So Usyk versus Huck. Talk to me about that.
I think it's the best opposition of all the available ones, because if you're thinking about someone like Perez, he's kind of unknown in cruiserweight, right? You don't know whether he got, I don't know, his punching power got weaker, but he gets faster or something. It's just not wise to jump in with him on the second fight. You want to have some info on him. So he wisely chose the most skilled and the most experienced, I would say, because aside from all the boxing stuff, Hawk brings all the dirt, hit behind the head, after the bell. You kind of need that fighter, because what happened, for example, with the Lomachenko when he fought Salido, he just didn't expect it to be that dirty. Yeah, he was like a green guy who thought that all the professional boxing is just like Olympics, but for 12 rounds. And Salido showed him that there are tricks in the book.
How does the rematch go between Salido and Lomachenko?
Well, Lomachenko said that he will want this fight for another year. After that, he just drops the idea because because Salido will be just too old for him. He will not get any credit for that rematch, and I think it's actually makes quite some sense, because well, it's kind of like with Joe Smith Jr., right? He did knock B-Hop out of the ropes, but it was a B-Hop that didn't fight for 2 years and was 51 years old. So at the same time, you think, yeah, well, it is a B-Hop, but
Yeah. And the Rickendale situation.
I think that fight's gonna happen.
Do you?
Yeah. I do think, but it's either gonna be in higher 120 pounds, like 128, 127, or Rigondeaux just gonna spit on it and go to 130. And it's one of the issues that I don't understand with weight, because if you take somebody really skillful, like Evander Holyfield, right, who
Yes.
was technically never fully transitioned to heavyweights, he was always fighting around 200 pounds.
Yes.
He was still doing good job, right? Even though the
Yes.
guys had like 20 and 30, 35 pounds advantage over him.
Yes.
Not all of them, because back in the day, again, heavyweights were lighter,
Yes.
you know, that weight advantage didn't help them against his skill.
Right.
So, and Rigondeaux just said that, okay, you want to fight at 130, I'll fight you at 130. It's not a big deal for me. I'm just gonna bring all my skill, everything I got, and those, I don't know, let's say 5 pounds different, because obviously Rigondeaux's gonna bulk up a little bit for that fight. Maybe he's not gonna fully transition to 130, but at the same time, he's like they're just not gonna do much. And that's the thing. I don't understand whether weight plays that much of an issue.
Who do you think's a better fighter, better boxer?
I'm biased.
I'm biased, of course. At least you're honest.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I didn't even follow Rigondeaux that much until all the fast food fighting Lomachenko is out there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be kind of those guys who is, you know, look at the box rack and says, ah, come on. He gets two rounds, come on. No, I don't have enough research to say how skillful and in what fights Rigondeaux was, because everyone in like every boxing fan in Ukraine knows like all the aspect of Lomachenko, how great his footwork is, combinations, all his opponents, watched all his fights. You know, we remember all of it, and like the situation he got out of in the Olympics. And I just don't know anything about Rigondeaux to state that he has or hasn't any chances.
Okay.
Gonna
At least you're being honest. Now, do you subscribe to him being one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world, or do you think he hasn't fought enough quality opposition yet?
Lomachenko or Rigondeaux?
Lomachenko.
I think if we're talking resume pound
Yes.
for pound, I don't think he is. If we're talking skill, yeah, I would say that not many top 10 fighters have that much skill as Lomachenko does.
Right.
So, you know, it's kind of like a tricky situation. I kind of do and I kind of don't, because at the same time, to be a guy in top 10, let's say pound for pound, you're going to beat somebody from top 10 pound for pound, right?
Okay. That's what I think.
That's kind of what puts you in there. Because
so then where does the Golovkin argument come in then? Because I don't think he's pound for pound.
Well, okay, well, it's hard to say. I say that many people, no, debatable, you know, debatable. Many people are saying that he's number one and number two, but his real test of all his skills will come in September. Yeah.
This is my point. His first real test, where you don't know if he's going to win or lose, is against Canelo.
Yeah, and at the same time, when he was fighting Jacobs, he didn't look that impressive. You know, Jacobs was executing his plan, and Canelo just didn't look like a beast. He looked like just a good fighter. You know.
This is my point. I've been saying it for a time. I said that Jacobs would give him a tough fight. Did I not say it? I said it on I previewed. I said Jacobs is going to give this guy a hard time.
Yeah. Many people were jumping in and saying that Jacobs won the fight, but I would say that it was the case where Jacobs just will make him look so bad against him. You know?
Yeah, that's one. That I can understand that. The other thing is, I'm talking about Golovkin. Do you think he's on the other side of 35, or do you think it's because he's fighting better opposition now?
No, definitely better opposition. I just, well, it's hard to say because Golovkin, um, he's one of those guys who about whom people say that they got like a steel jaw or something.
Yeah.
And I noticed an interesting trend that only those champions get to being like 40 and still champions who do not let being hit too much. Because if you think about like Klitschko and why in his 40s he's still able to do what he does, is because he was clinching all those years. He didn't get all those blood vessels in his head popped. He doesn't have high blood pressure and whatever, you know. You think about oh, it's another fight. Oh my God, Mayweather.
Yes.
Yeah, Mayweather is still able to do something, you know, because he was just not allowing any other people to hit him. And then you have Pacquiao.
Oh dear.
Pacquiao was in and out all the time, and that's it. Like he loses to a guy who is arguably not on his level of skill.
Although I think that person was throwing elbows, headbutts, and all the rest of it, and the referee did not stamp his authority in that fight.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like what was it? Yeah, it was Bo who said, "Well, Pacquiao said I was set up in that fight."
It was a
Right.
gift to Australia. That's what I think.
I think it was punishment by Bob Arum,
Yeah, absolutely,
because he
absolutely.
didn't fight Crawford and didn't make him the next milk cow.
That's it. That sounds like it. Mr. Doc says I'm a Golovkin fan, but honestly, I find it appalling that Tom Loeffler has only gotten only one real fight in 5 years. To me, Loeffler has mishandled Golovkin's career. Am I wrong?
I wouldn't say he mishandled it. He was going pretty good. That's the thing about the like post-Soviet boxers. They don't start really young in all those fights. Like he was 28 when he captured his title,
Yep.
and you have somebody like Gassiev who is capturing a title in 23. You know, so by the time they gain momentum, that they can get people in the ring that they want, you know, they are still dangerous, but they accumulate so much money that they can invite anyone
Okay.
and they can hype up the fight. It just leaves them a small window of really good fights.
Okay.
And thankfully, so many of them can be, you know, bad for them because they're on the downside and the other guy's on the upper side.
Okay.
Canelo is 27.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about White Mike Tyson, the gentleman that was meant to fight Billy Joe Saunders.
Oh, Cortizze?
I think that's his name.
Not White. He's Mini Tyson or Tiny Tyson.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
Tiny Tyson, Mike Tyson. I don't know why. Well, yeah, Mini Tyson or what? Yeah, he's one of those, was he? He's one of those
Yeah,
names.
yeah, Mini Mike Tyson.
Mini Mike Tyson. Yeah.
Well, he got jailed, I think.
Well, they talked. I remember he said I'm black, but I think the person who's interpreting, did an appalling job. He says he's like black people because he's around black people and he likes black people. I don't know what he was saying, but bottom line is he got jailed. I don't know what more you knew about that. We lost in translation.
Yeah, I don't know about him being black. It just doesn't look to me. Maybe he's meeting Michael Jackson. That is possible. He got into some strange story with the Russian mafia syndicate or something. You know, that he's some part of an organized crime group or something in
Oh
the
dear.
U.S.
Oh dear. It's not good, is it? I was looking forward to seeing that Saunders fight as well.
I did, but I don't know what's the current situation with it. I haven't heard since he was like. I think he's waiting for a court order or something.
Well,
And
Jacob Saunders is fighting. What's his name? He's fighting. No. Saunders is fighting Willie Monroe Jr.
uh
which I think is a dangerous fight for Billy Joe Saunders.
Well,
Billy Joe Saunders is judging Willie Monroe's performance by what Golovkin did to him. But Billy Joe Saunders doesn't punch like Golovkin.
oh, so Billy Joe Saunders now is Golovkin.
Well, he's saying that, oh, I would never quit against Golovkin, and you quit against Golovkin. So that's all that has to be said. But that's Golovkin punching you.
You don't have to quit. You can just fall. You know, it's kind of those arguments, because people quit if you're not a journeyman, obviously, right? And
yes,
you're just fighting for your name and stuff. People quit because continuing is just dangerous for them. For example, well, we talk about Vitaly Klitschko in the fight with Lewis. Did he quit because he was afraid or something? No, it was just too dangerous to continue in his condition. So if he thinks that he will, you know, somehow put the same amount, like be the same danger as Golovkin is, well, good luck to him, because I don't see that happening.
I don't see that either. Whatever. What are your thoughts on the Super 8 of the middleweight or super middleweight division?
It's raw. I just see it as undercooked. You know, they should have got more guys in there, like more top guys.
Okay.
So it kind of the idea of that super middleweight tournament.
Yeah.
Is that they're gonna get one guy who will be like a super hyped guy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that he's the best in the middleweight.
Yet. Agreed. This is my point. So I think James DeGale and Gilberto Ramirez did a great job not to take part, but let them beat the crap out of one another, and then we'll take easy pickings afterwards.
Yeah, like for example, Gilberto Ramirez, right? His name.
Yes.
Yeah, he can just come on in and pick up the the low hanging fruit.
Exactly. What about what's his name? James DeGale.
Uh-huh.
Well, you know,
people. Wait, what was it? I just was reading the bookmakers like prediction for all of it, and they were saying that DeGale is the one who's like they put their money to win this tournament.
But he's not even in it.
Wait, what? Wait a second.
James DeGale's not in the tournament.
Oh, let me open the World Boxing Series tournament then.
He's not in it. It might be Chris Eubank Jr. you're talking about.
Definitely not Chris Eubank.
Definitely not Chris. Why? Do you think he'll win it?
Huh?
Do you think he can win it?
He may. Actually, the funny thing about this Super 8 is that back in the day, not many people expected War to win it. Like it wasn't exactly the same. They had like a Super 6.
Yeah, but he was an Olympic gold medalist. He had an adaptable style. And remember, the reason why they didn't think that Ward would win it is because the focus was on the European fighters. The focus was on Mikkel Kessler. The focus was on what's the other guy's name? Carl Froch. That's what the focus was on. The focus wasn't on any American fighters because it was the European fighters they thought were going to win it. If I remember back then.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you see, it's kind of like one of those overhyped situations.
Yeah.
And people are just saying oh yeah. So the guys are saying that Colin Smith is to win the tournament.
Oh gee, no, I'm sorry, that's not happening. That's not happening. Sorry. That's not
happening. Well, I don't know what the deal with them, but yeah, that's they put the rates on them. Like the first guy is Colin Smith.
It's not happening. It's not happening. Forget it. Mr. Doc has made a very good point. He says it's a good strategy not to take part in the Super 8, but it didn't work out well for Lucien Boutte. He didn't take part in the Super 6.
Mhm.
But then somebody who came out of the Super Six came out and smashed him, which was Carl Froch.
Mhm. Uh,
But Butte showed vulnerability before that. Anyway, he got dropped. I'm sure he was almost knocked out. He got knocked down in the 12th round, didn't he? And the bell saved him when he was knocked out. Sure, it
huh.
was him.
Interesting. Well,
So we'll see. Is there anybody else that comes to mind that you want to talk about before we close?
yeah. I will swing back to cruiserweights for a
Yes.
second.
Yes.
Because in that Super 8, they have they built it in a way that technically there is no way for Alexander Usyk and Murat Gassiev to face each other unless it's the final.
Okay.
So, if because Alexander Usyk, if he's successful against Marco Huck, he will face the winner of Bredis and Mike Perez.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, both of the guys can pop, and both are robust. They're strong guys. I don't know what happened to Mike Perez when he fought Povetkin.
PED's Russia. No comment.
Okay, because that 90-second knockout was just kind of like, well, that was a dipshit. Like,
Well, I thought so. I have my theories about when guys go to Russia and fight. So we'll leave it as
yeah,
that.
okay. I'm actually surprised that Tindongo got out of there that fast. I was like, nope. Revanche is only in Namibia now.
Romain Stavern said that when the fight of him and Povetkin wasn't going to happen, he ran. He said they got the first plane and got out of Russia as quick as possible because they were being followed.
Oh, I see. Oh, what about Dubois? Did he recover? I didn't even check that.
Dubois, who's that?
John Dubois, the guy who fought Povetkin. The
Duhaupas.
Is it Duhaupas? I think that H is left over.
Yeah, Duhaupas. Yeah, the
Duhaupas,
French
okay.
guy.
Yeah, he got knocked out like brutally. He was just flat on the canvas and
Yeah, that was PED Povetkin, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, I've heard one theory. Okay, no, no evidence, just for pure, I don't know, speculation. I say that Drozd, the cruiserweight champion, WBC,
Yes.
he dropped, he quit or retired, I would say, as soon as the PED stories came out with Povetkin. At the same time, because I think they were supposed to fight with he was supposed to fight with Makabu.
Yes.
And then the story with the Russian Olympic team being all on meldonium came out, and he just said that he got injured and never came back. He dropped the he dropped the title, and that was it. So maybe that was him dodging being caught, because that kind of ruins his face.
Yeah.
Maybe not. It's just speculation because
Interesting.
Povetkin was caught, but no, other than that, I can't state positive on that.
I understand. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
Technically, no. I think we will see more this September after Golovkin fight.
Yes.
With Canelo, where he will be tested, because the other Canelo is skillful. It's actually interesting because it's going to be happening on my birthday party.
Congratulations. Well, you'll have to remind me so I can. When's your birthday?
17th of September. So the night of the fight, we're going to be sitting there and watching the fight.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Eubank Abraham was on my birthday. You've got a better fight for your birthday. And to close, we've got to talk about that fight, Conor McGregor Mayweather, but from a different perspective. I find it incredibly difficult to understand why everyone talks about McGregor landing a left hand and forget that Floyd Mayweather has a left hand and a right hand, and the fact that Conor McGregor stops shots with his face and has no form of defense, and when he does land the left hand, leaves the right hand low when he lands his big shots. So these are fundamental technical issues that he has been successful with at UFC. Is he going to be able to make the fundamental technical changes between the time he's got his boxing license to when he fights Floyd Mayweather? I have serious doubts that if defensively McGregor's going to have a clue what's happening. And I have this feeling that Floyd's going to come out aggressively and stop McGregor inside those 4 rounds. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that UFC fighters are the least complete boxers in the business and he's fighting the best boxer of arguably our generation,
Right.
Who I think he was like solidly hit like 6, 8 times. I'm talking about Mayweather, right?
Yes.
And because in UFC you have kicks, you have wrestling, you can choke somebody out. If your punching doesn't work, you can always find another way.
Yes.
Right. In boxing, you bring only boxing, and the one guy has been in the game for 20 years, and the other guy is having his first fight. So I don't see McGregor having any slightest chance. Oh, well, except for those thunder from the sky when something unbelievable happens.
Thunder from the imagine. So they're going to announce a guy. He's making his professional debut, Conor McGregor, and then in the other corner, with a record of 49 fights, 49 wins, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, where in the world would you see a guy fighting 1 fight versus a guy who's got 49 fights?
Was it Luis Ortiz? No. He was fighting a guy with who was debuting. Oh, no, he had 18 fights. Okay.
No, he had 10. You're talking about Dave Allen. Dave Allen had 10 fights. Or 9 fights.
No. He Ortiz was fighting a guy. His 18th fight.
Yeah.
He fought a guy who was just in his debut.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, it kind of tells you how poorly he got his career managed. Just.
If we're going to talk on that, we might as well close on the Luis Ortiz agenda.
Yeah.
What's
we're right on? Where we started.
Yeah, Luis Ortiz. Why is he not fought for the WBA title? What was he doing when he was with Eddie Hearn and he was fighting with Dave Allen and Dillian White? Not Dillian White. Dave Allen and Malik Scott. What was the plan behind that? Why isn't Ortiz fought since? And how has he suddenly got himself that way in the WBC when he had the WBA interim title? Why is he not fighting Fraser Quenda for the WBA regular title?
Well, technically what happened is he went over to Britain to kind of like build his fight with Joshua.
Okay.
Joshua got a bigger fish to fry, and he's now either fighting Klitschko, or Klitschko says that I'm too bored for this, and he just retires, and then Joshua is still fighting Pulev. Even though Ortiz has a mandatory status on WBA side of the belt, because it was Joshua captured it in a fight with Klitschko, it still was a vacant title. So Joshua doesn't have to fight immediately with the mandatory. He has like one or two, I think, voluntary defenses. So I don't understand why he waits, though. Even if the fight is not available, there are still guys who can fight in the division, not even top 10, but just to keep yourself in shape and to keep yourself sharp. because the path that he took right now is not gonna fast track him. So there is some waiting game here.
So just to close with the WBC, with Wilder and Stavern and Otis, is he actually going to get that fight of Wilder? Do you think? If you were betting man, how much where would you bet?
I'd say 9 out of 10, Stiverne gets his fight.
Okay. So just to remind everybody who's listening, we'll be talking to Stavern tonight, 9 p.m. British time, UK time. I guess that might be 11 p.m. Ukrainian time and 1 p.m. Las Vegas time. So I think that's it. Eugene, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to somebody who, has some sense in him.
Thank you, Eugene. And thank you all for listening. That's Eugene for Eastern European and World Boxing News. And this is myself, Ingram Jones from BWTM Sports. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And I guess I'll see you over at BWTM Gaming. Take care. See you soon.
Yeah. Bye.